expressed on the following program are those of the commentators, guest, and host. They do not explicitly or necessarily reflect nor represent the policy or the views held by Tobago Updates or this network. Tobago Updates or this network cannot be held accountable for all or any views expressed during this program.
Hi, good evening, and welcome to this week's episode of the Minority Report. I'm Marlon David, your host, and I'm back in studio with you yet another Tuesday, and might I say, our final Tuesday before taking a short break to recuperate, to put certain things in place, to also align with the fact that the school term is also on break, the house is also on break. And so as much as there is the constant desire and passion to keep you, the members of the public, informed and updated, there is also the definite need to take a little break sometimes so that we can be refreshed and come back out, as the proverbial saying goes, swinging or firing on all pistons. So this evening's show is going to be the final show until we resume programming. And I mean, it's going to be nothing less than what we've had for the last 3+ years. I want to say thank you for all of viewers who have actively participated in this process, in making the Minority Report the #1 viewed show on current affairs and politics and all these things, even educational, in Tobago. I really want to say that we appreciate you guys, heartfelt appreciation, because without you, this would not have been possible. What started off as a simple seed, what started off as a concept, has now blossomed into what we can safely say is a household name. So I want to say I really appreciate you. I want to bring my guest in studio into the conversation as soon as possible, right after I say to you that you can view us on the Tobago Updates website, you can view us on the Tobago Updates YouTube channel, you can log into the Facebook account and interact with us. That's the platform that you can actually converse with us, make your comments, share your ideas, and so on, and we have an opportunity to read it as well, and in some instances respond to you. But if you are a Flow subscriber, you can turn your television to channel 121 HUB TV, that's channel 121 Hub TV, or channel 130 AVS. If you are an AMPLIA subscriber, however, you can turn your television to channel 102, and you would be able to view the Minority Report live, as well as all of Tobago Updates programming throughout the day and night. So any one of those platforms that you are comfortable with, you can feel free to log in to just listen to us and to participate in the discussions. If, however, you have material that you want to share, you have a document, you want to send it to us, you have photos, videos of something, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's from your community standpoint or for you as an individual, you can send that on WhatsApp to 284-6597. That is 284-6597. And we will definitely take the necessary steps to have that address, to look into it, to get the information, to ventilate it, and to bring it to the necessary authorities so that we can have it actioned. Folks, this evening, we really want to say as we go forward, that we look forward to your continued support. I cannot stress that enough. And I want to bring my guest in studio along with me this evening right into the conversation at this point. Welcome, Minority Councillor, Mrs. Petal Daniel Benoit.
Good evening, Marilyn. Good evening, Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, and wherever you are locked on to the Minority Report. A special good evening to you and welcome.
So I mean, we have a bit of a late start. We were hammering out some little issues in studio, but we just want to kick off on a very positive note. We've not been here since missing the show last week,
Yes.
but SEA results are out. It's like a pressure valve has been released, and a number of persons now breathing the temporary sigh of relief, because SEA, yes, is completed. However, a new chapter begins.
Yes.
And a more intense chapter, to say the least. How has this SEA experience been for you as a parent who is now stepping into that preparation stage for your first SEA experience? But from looking on, I know you interact with a lot of parents.
Yes. And well, first I want to congratulate all the students who would have completed the SEA exams and would have passed. And even those who did not pass for their first choice, congratulations to you. My best wishes to you. I wish you all the best and success as you enter into this new chapter. And it is a new chapter. It is going to be a transition phase, quite different to, your experience at primary school. So I just want to encourage you to do your best, to put God first, to do what is right. Choose your friends wisely, and buckle down and settle down as quickly as you can to this secondary school experience. We are also in the period of coming out of CSEC.
Yeah.
And CAPE. So I know some of those persons, are awaiting results. So I too want to wish them all the best. And, just to go back to the SEA for a little bit, some persons may have been disappointed in, their passes or the school that they would have passed for. But I would encourage you to bloom where you're planted. You could be the best in whichever school you are assigned. So do your best there and bloom where you are planted. For me, I am going into my SEA experience. Yes, my son is preparing for SEA in 2026. Of course, the work would have started in 2025 and it continues. So I have been, speaking to parents who would have gone through this process before, even talking to some students to find the balance between, the stress and the productivity. And we are doing our best. My son, he has started afternoon classes. There are classes at school as well as there are external classes. And, we are working towards his success. It is a stressful period. And of course, my son is a son. So, we have to put that extra effort into the boys and, it's a family effort. Because, sometimes when I'm not there, then daddy is present and granny also fills in. So, this is a community effort, a village effort, a family effort. And, I just want to thank all the persons, the teachers for their commitments. Because now, even as we speak, just before school closed, his teachers started morning classes. So he had to wake up early, get ready to reach to school, for 7:30 so that he can have that pre-school classes in the morning. So I really want to thank the teachers for the dedication. And I want to encourage us as parents, continue to work with our children. Let us not be so excited that we make this process a stressful one for them, but just support them.
And with that, I want to take the opportunity to share something that really impacted my life through school and then being a parent and so on. So I've been through that SEA experience twice already. In terms of directly.
Would have been SEA or common entrance?
No, in terms of my
Oh,
kids.
okay, right.
In terms of dealing with them directly and then by extension relatives, children who I would have assisted through the process and so on. But the one thing that I always like to share with persons is something that I learned when I was actually in standard 3.
Okay.
That's how far back. And it's called the 6 P's. We had a teacher who, teachers long ago were different. And in standard 3, a teacher introduced us to the 6 P's. And she said to us, if you apply the 6 P's, the rest of your life will be manageable. And the 6 P's were simply proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
Okay.
Proper planning prevents piss poor performance. And true to form, those 6 P's, when applied correctly, you win every single time. And I want to encourage parents, as someone who would have gone through the process, as I said, on 2 occasions, quite successfully. Let us not stress the children. I don't know who I'm speaking to in studio. Let us never stress children out, but let us always plan effectively. And by planning effectively, I mean take the opportunity and make the effort to put things in place so that by the time the child gets to that place, there's already a plan in place. A lot of the times as parents as well, we try to live out our fantasies in the children. And I want to encourage us to take time to understand your child, to understand the needs, to understand the thought process, and to always remember that children are really little adults. They have their own stress. They have their own perception on things. They have their own ideologies, their own perception of their authority levels. Children believe that they must have a measure of authority because in their world, that is what exists to them. And sometimes it's easy as a parent, when you become so consumed in the affairs of this life, preparing, doing this, paying bills, seeing about children, you can actually become, get to a position where you think that child don't have any worries. And I mean, we grew up hearing that. Parents used to tell you, you don't have no worries.
Yes, be a child.
You just be a child. But in their world, that is not the case. And children also undergo things like depression, a lot of stress-related illnesses. So let us be mindful of these things. We've seen it, and I have had the experience because a particular school one of my nephews attended, when a young child who was in his class preparing for SE committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
And left a note that he was so stressed that he don't think that he can face the disappointment in the event. He disappoints his mom. So that is how far this thing can go. So as parents, let us remember to make this as joyful an experience as possible. Yes, we set rules, we set guidelines, and as the 6 P's say, plan properly. But let the child also have a natural experience. It is going to augur well for the result and the time or the next phase, which is then the secondary school experience. So you don't want your child entering secondary school, hating school because of what
the SEA experience was like.
Experience.
And I want to encourage parents to listen to your children because, just as you said, they have opinions, they go through things and they want to share. And if they feel that, they're not able to share with you, they may share with people who will not give them the appropriate advice, or as, your example was, they may want to keep it to themselves and they're not able to cope or manage with that kind of stress on their own.
Exactly.
So, I'm not saying to be your children's friend, but be that parent that, you can easily, your child can come to you with whatever issues they may have.
And I mean, I'll just throw this last one in. Let us remember that our children are living in their time.
Yes,
let us stop saying, when I was small, we didn't used to do it. Or when I was in SCA class or common entrance class, we didn't have this. No. Yes. They are living in an entirely different era, a different dispensation, a different time. They're exposed to so much more than we were exposed to. And though we like to say the children living in the information age, I think that is a good and a bad wrapped into one. So let us be mindful of the comparisons. What your child is dealing with now in school is a far cry from what
we dealt with.
dealt with when we were in primary school, especially. There was no internet. The only time you got a message was when you got home.
Yes, and the information age is wide open. So children at whatever age, is able to access information. So and
articulate it
very well. But before us, we've seen some images, and we continue in this congratulatory mode. So we congratulate Signal Hill Primary.
Signal Hill,
because they would have had the top students. We also congratulate St. Nicholas and Scarborough RC, who would have gained the top students, and all the schools who would have been named in the top 10 for this SCA. We congratulate you, and we want to encourage you to continue doing the good work. Parents, students, and teachers alike.
I want to also take the opportunity to give a mention to one of our members of staff. Her daughter did the SCA.
Yes.
Johanna, she was very, very successful. She got her first choice. So congratulations going out there to Johanna as well. We promised to do something nice. So congratulations going out to Johanna and every other child who not just got your first choice, but has now been given the opportunity to enter secondary school. That in itself is an honor and a privilege, regardless of where you are. As you were saying, Minority Counselor, you could bloom wherever you're planted.
And once you did your best, that's all that we are asking for you to do your best. And once you did your best, we congratulate you on that effort.
So folks, we really want to say congrats to all the students, all the parents, all the teachers, a number of teachers welcoming this break, while some teachers are now shifting gears in terms of preparing students for the next SCA assessment in 2026. So Minority Counselor, having gone through that little congratulatory period, I came into the studio this evening with a heavy mind, a heavy spirit, heavy heart. Had it not been for this light moment with the congratulations to students, I would have started this program cross, angry, and miserable. Nevertheless, we still need to treat with a particular issue. We've been discussing over the last couple of weeks this now dubbed ambulance gate.
Ambulance gate, yes.
Which I think, based on public sentiment, is the worst ever scandal in the history of the Tobago House of Assembly, where we have seen blatant mismanagement of public funds. We've seen public officials remain silent on the use of taxpayers' dollars in a way that can only be deemed erroneous. And we've seen those who would have been responsible for providing oversight of this situation remain silent and adopt a very nonchalant approach to this entire thing, where millions of taxpayers' dollars, public funds have been, and we can only say, squandered and continue to be squandered. And then we saw yesterday morning, I think it was,
the Secretary
of Health, who has said absolutely nothing throughout this entire process. And might I remind persons, even when asked the question in the House, did not have a response to the question and just casually said, well, she don't understand or she didn't know was now we have the process. But yesterday morning comes on this very network and sits in this very studio and proceeds to make light
of
this very scandalous and important matter of millions of taxpayers' dollars being squandered on ambulances that have been purchased or procured that are non-functional. And that secretary sat probably on that very chair you on. That's why I didn't take that middle chair. Sat here and attempted to change the narrative by saying that the minority is not giving Tobagonians an opportunity to enjoy the fact that new ambulances have been procured, and that the minority is just going around bandying negativity in the quote-unquote space and not allowing Tobagonians to really revel in the fact that this administration, and this is the biggest lie that they're trying to tell, has delivered more in 3 years to the people of Tobago than the 21 years of PNM governance. And that, and I'm capping it off at this point, that the PNM is bad at governance. Minority Councillor, let me let you say something before
what was disappointing was the fact that the Secretary of Health had the opportunity to speak for some time in relation to this ambulant gate issue, and as the minority leader has dubbed it, the most scandalous procurement issue in the history of the Tobago House of Assembly. And even when we would have asked the questions in the House, it is our view that the questions were not answered appropriately. And one of the questions that the minority leader posed to the Secretary of Health in the House is to ask the question about what was the procurement process. And the Secretary went to speak hypothetically of what a procurement process ought to be, but she did not have any details about what the procurement process in relation to the ambulances was. So we would have put the information that was before us into the public domain, and not only the minority, but we had other persons who found this issue to be a scandalous one, right-thinking Trinbagonians speaking up about the issues and the gaps in the procurement process. We saw then the Tobago Regional Health Authority, through its chairman and its CEO, coming out to provide some level of clarity on the matter. But what they did, and I will continue to say, the information that they provided actually caused us to have more questions than to the answers that were previously asked in the public domain. Because they attempted to describe a procurement process, but a reporter would have asked the question, and although the chairman, sought to attempt to describe what the process was, we are still unclear how the provider that got the contract to procure the ambulance, how did they end up as being part of the procurement process? Because when you issued a tender, you said that the persons who would have responded to the tender, they were not successful. And there was no information to indicate that you went back out to get more persons to participate in another tender. And the initial tender, was it for 2 ambulances? So whatever was the initial tender, we now are in a situation where we have moved from 2 to 4 to 12. How did the process expand to 12 ambulances? Exactly. And then you have someone who is the winner of the bid of the tender, but they do not have, based on the information that is before us, it is alleged that they don't have any prior experience in relation to procurement of ambulances. So one, outside of putting out a public tender, how did you arrive at this organization, institution, or company who does not have a track record in procuring ambulances being selected or being a part of this process? Yeah. So yes, the secretary came to yesterday or whenever and spoke lightly of the situation, but the secretary did not address any of the burning concerns and any of the burning issues that are in the public domain in relation to this issue. And we would have paid over $10 million.
Exactly.
We have a balance to be paid. 3 ambulances were commissioned. 1 should have been on the way. I think 1 was put into service. We have seen where that 1 had some issues in terms of breaking down. Whatever happened to the other 2, we have seen also on several occasions where the ambulances had to return to Trinidad, because even while we concluded several sessions of the Minority Report, we saw ambulances parked, going on the boat. Yes? So we are aware, and we have some information that from time to time, those purported new ambulances had to go back to Trinidad for whatever issues that may have arisen from those ambulances. So we have not gotten full use of the ambulances that were purchased that should have been delivered. And if you look at the delivery time as well for the ambulance,
That's
it way exceeded the time that it should have been delivered. And even when you look at the brand, because when we examine the documents, the ambulance that should have been procured based on the information that was provided was a particular brand
on the document
for a particular price.
Correct.
We now have an issue where the ambulances that were delivered is of a different brand.
Inferior. We can say the word.
An inferior brand that when you do the research costs significantly less, but we did not see that cost savings transferred to the Tobago Regional Health Authority.
But what did the chairman say?
That they are willing to...
When she was questioned about the brand itself, she said it was a
typographical error
that somebody copy and paste on a public document like that. Go ahead, Minority Councillor.
Yes. So not only have we paid for ambulances that we don't have the use of, and because we do not have the use of those ambulances that we have paid for, we continue to rent. And we are speaking about scarce resources in the Tobago Regional Health Authority. And as a minority, we continue to say it is not about the resources, because the track record has shown that under a PNM central government, they have issued allocations in excess and annually increase in allocation year on year to this TPP, QTP independent administration. So it's not about the resources. And yes, we would all want to have more resources, but financial resources are finite. And if we don't manage the resources properly, then we won't get the best use of the resources that are available to us.
Exactly.
So you're mismanaging the procurement process. Then you have another process where you have to rent the ambulances because that process has basically failed. So you are paying for the product more than once. And the resources that should have gone to something else, such as probably procuring pharmaceuticals
for the hospital,
procuring beds,
gloves, syringes,
whatever is
basic
required.
medication for patients.
That is the opportunity cost that is associated with the mismanagement of this one particular issue. And with the Tobago Regional Health Authority, the ambulance gate is only but one issue.
That's one issue. One issue. The minority councillor. What is irking in this is that this secretary who has failed miserably, she has failed Tobago, she has failed the Division of Health, she said nothing throughout the entire process. But now comes on the television to try to tell Tobagonians that this is, as we say on the street, small thing.
Yeah.
What is all you worrying about this for? Nothing wrong with this. So it's literally a posture as if don't question anything or don't say anything that we're doing. Yeah. Because we just ain't gonna take all your own.
Yeah, but this is the same secretary that had all the answers when the secretary was in the minority. And the secretary had all the solutions to the issues faced by the health sector.
Exactly.
Now that you are placed in the seat of authority and responsibility, what are you saying to the public?
Silent night.
No, the secretary actually indicate that she is now getting a hang of what to do, 3 years into the job. But you told the people of Tobago, you said to the people of Tobago, you could fix it.
Up front.
You were telling the people of Tobago 3 years prior that you understood what the issues were.
Exactly.
You know what the issues were,
yeah.
And you had the solution. So give you an opportunity to fix it.
Yeah.
So fast forward 3 years later, coming to complain about PNM and bad governance. The people gave you an opportunity.
And minority councillor.
So to speak that PNM did it or PNM didn't do that, it is your turn now to do what you promised to do.
And what I mean, there's so many things to describe the myriad of feelings just by listening to this particular secretary. Now, they are all failures, but this one I think is the head failure of all the failures just under the chief secretary, who has still to date been silent on this issue. The only thing that he said in the House was that he don't see anything yet to launch an investigation. However,
in the budget debate, he had other comments.
Okay.
And again, the secretaries contradict each other, because on the interview, I listened to the interview, and the interview, the secretary was saying that the TRHA followed all the procurement process and did all that they had to do. But if that was the case, then why did the chief secretary indicate to the public in the budget debate that he is not the one to deal with the issue of investigation, and as such the person that should be dealing with that is the OPR, and they have forwarded, if I don't want to misquote the chief secretary, but I understood that the chief secretary is saying that they have forwarded that information for the OPR to do his investigation. Because the minority leader asked a question to the chief secretary.
Yes.
Do you think that all that is happening in relation to this procurement process and ambulance gates warrants an investigation? Initially, he said no. But because of the public outcry and how scandalous this ambulance gate became, the chief secretary had no other choice but to indicate that they have forwarded to OPR and let OPR do the investigation. So if that is the case, how could the Secretary of Health come to say to the people that all the processes were followed? And if all the processes were followed, why is that information not in the public domain so that it can be deciphered and defiltered, and people could make their own decision and judgment as to what would have happened?
And along with that, minority councillor,
of the ambulances,
if the procurement process was followed as it should have been, why is it that so many discrepancies exist that the board had to come out to try to clear it up?
Yes, correct.
The secretary now trying to clear it up. The chief secretary made reference to it in the budget debate.
Yes.
This very process took place in 2015 under the PNM. And then Secretary of Health, Mrs. Claudia Groom-Duke. The same process. 10 ambulances were purchased. 10 ambulances were put into operation. Operation in
and
Tobago.
Some of which still continue to be used
after 10 years of rigorous use. And you did not even see a headline of an issue. What is even more concerning is that it is the same staff in the division that was responsible for the procurement of those ambulances 10 years ago is the same workers that are involved in this process. The only thing that has changed is the board of directors and the secretary. And right now we have a blame game tossing around between them as for who is responsible and who should take accountability. Yet still we have the chief secretary, and again on record, and we would have played that clip numerous times here on the Minority Report. The chief secretary making it lucidly clear that the secretary of a division has the final line of accountability.
Yeah, but based on the Tobago House of Assembly Act, the secretary of the division has general direction and control over the division.
Exactly.
And the Tobago Regional Health Authority falls under the purview of the Secretary of Health and Social Protection.
Yet still, outside of the interview that was done yesterday morning, the secretary still has not cleared the air on anything pertaining to this issue.
Yeah. And there are so many questions to be answered. We haven't had full use of the 4 ambulances. When will we get full use of the 4 ambulances? It should have come into to use since...
Minority councillor.
How many months ago?
More to get.
Right? And we have started paying for the additional, and we have started paying for the additional ambulances that we are not even sure when we will get those. So when we will get full use of the ambulances, and when will we stop paying the rental for the ambulances that we currently have?
And our information also suggests. So we've procured new ambulances.
Yes.
Well, we allegedly new ambulances. Let's say that.
Yes.
Because the myriad of issues, I don't know how that could be new, because I've purchased new vehicles already. And if anything happening to my new vehicle...
Yes, you take it back to the dealer.
To the dealer, and listen, something wrong with this, I need a different vehicle.
Yeah.
But we are a very loving, apparently, administration. So we're trying to work with the supplier. So we're paying for new ambulances. We're paying to lease ambulances to have them working while we are getting the new ambulances that not working. And we are paying to repair the 2015 set that has stood the test of time and are still rescuing the new ambulances on simple hills. So that's 3 sets of payments that we are making presently in Tobago, and we have not yet completed payment for the last batch of the new ambulances. And this secretary sat here and said that this is a small issue. Nothing is wrong with this. And that Tobagonians should be happy that at least they get new ambulances.
But be happy with what?
These people crazy?
1 or 2 ambulances that were put into stream that every Monday morning has to be returned to Trinidad, breaking down on the way from one hospital to the next, another ambulance. And it is disappointing that the secretary could not come on the said station to say, well, okay, members of the public, we recognize that this is an issue.
Having a challenge.
You know, we had a delay in delivery. However, we will receive the first batch by X and X date, and they will be put into full commission, and then we will receive another 4 or the balance of the ambulances, 8 or how many of other, and they will be put into the fleet by X and X date. But don't come and pretend as all is well.
Nothing wrong.
And as a result of that, the administration and the division may not learn from its experiences, because we see a continuation of issues in relation to procurement at the Division of Health. And we are saying ambulance gate is only but one. We have the issue with the incinerators.
Yes.
The secretary came when we asked the question. She ramaged in the house about what the PNM was not doing, and they are in the process of procuring and purchasing a new incinerator, and she galleried herself. Up to this point, the incinerator was purchased, but it cannot be put to use. And this is another situation where we pay to discard biohazardous waste. We are probably paying to rent a space to store the incinerator that cannot be put in place. And if you don't sit down, and I will continue to say it, when issues arise, look at the issues and determine what really is happening here.
Correct.
And address the issue. But what we do and what this administration tends to do based on the messenger, they want to shoot the message.
Shoot the messenger.
Shoot the messenger.
And they disregard the message.
Disregard the message. And that is why they will continue to have issue after issue after issue, because they're not taking what is in the public domain seriously.
It's child's play for them, you see. Child's play. And even minority councillor, what the secretary could have done, and this I only remembered this whilst he was speaking, even if she didn't want to come to the public, she could have given the public access to the website. That same website that she spoke about, where she said they are going to have this website where any citizen could simply go onto the website and log into any particular situation, any particular event, procurement process and other things, and see everything that is going on, who won the tender, what stage it is at. So I don't know if that website is up, because it's 3 years plus, going on 4 years, since we are waiting that access to that website.
Marlon, if you find the website, please share it with
I go in and look for that website
share it
tonight.
with me and share it with the members of the public.
I go in and share it with I go in and dig up for that website tonight. If I'm not seeing it, I am going to message the Secretary of Health on Facebook and say to her, please send me a link so I can share that website and make it public. And we are seeing here now images of the ambulances. We're seeing the blessing of the ambulances. I shudder to think, having been so blessed, these ambulances, and yet still the challenges that we are facing. What went wrong?
What went wrong?
And that is the question. There are times when you see 3 ambulances parked up in Bacalet Health Center for compound. And you tell yourself, okay, finally we probably seeing them going into operation. And this is from personal experience. I saw it one day there, and the next day 2 of them were driving, going back on the boat to head down to Trinidad.
It is concerning.
And to date, we have not yet heard even the workers, those who are vested with the responsibility to use the ambulances, they are still complaining about either security issues, the risk element of the use of the ambulance, mechanical problems that are still surfacing daily. The last thing I heard one speak about was the axle. And look, we were talking about the seat. Look where that seat is, where the medic who is in the back of the ambulance to provide care to the patient. Look at where that seat is. If something is happening,
the ambulance is moving at a speed, because at an emergency, the ambulance would be going at a speed.
But yet still we heard the chairman of the board say that this company met all the 41 requirements. This is atrocious. And the Secretary of Health comes casually.
The ambulances, and it's quite interesting. I wonder what is the age of these vehicles?
You know, that is something. Because you know, when you buy a vehicle, you see manufacturers, the manufacturer date.
What is the age of this vehicle that after such a long time that we can't have full use of them, and is one thing after the next?
Well, it had to be real old, eh?
Yes, what's
the because remember, these vehicles came without air conditioning. You know how long they start paying air conditioning vehicles?
So how old are these vehicles?
So
and as Tobagonians, we want the best. And the Secretary is speaking about joy. What joy should we feel?
Tell me this thing. The family whose relative
that the ambulance broke down en route for care.
En route. The child in Pembroke, the student who went into an unconscious state and no ambulance could reach, that the doctors had to put them in their private vehicle and rush them to the hospital. What joy is that family supposed to be feeling?
So is it that we should not say anything and just put our fingers on our lips?
This secretary is the worst.
And pretend as if nothing is happening and be all...
She should resign. As a matter of fact, she should be fired. Where is the chief secretary? Taking accountability of his charges. He is allowing these secretaries to wreak havoc in various divisions, do whatever it is they choose to do, and he's not holding anyone accountable. Yet still, pre the election, he indicated by way of a live that this is how he's going to be treating with secretaries who are recalcitrant in their behavior and who treat people with disdain and disrespect.
Remember, this was the same secretary that said, ease me up.
Ease me up. What you calling me phone this hour in the morning for? But minority councillor.
$1.5 million ambulance. 1.5.
That when you check it online costs how much? 225,000. TT. TT. I don't even understand how this woman sleeps at night to come here and make such aspersions, cast aspersions as if, well, there is nothing wrong here. And again, as you said, if there is nothing wrong, why did the chief secretary say they are forwarding the information to the OPR? This secretary is a failure. and she has failed the people of Tobago. She has failed the administration. And I want to encourage the Chief Secretary to take a second look at her.
But Marlon, we're looking here at the ambulance. Remember, one of the things that was said in the
press conference,
is that the ambulance that was purporting to have broken down was not a new ambulance.
Not a new one.
Is this not one of the new ambulances that is in the video here?
Repeat. I think people missed that. Because the chairman or the CEO said to the public in that press conference that people trying to make mischief because it was not a new ambulance that was broken down and was rescued by our older one.
The ambulance that is going is the old ambulance that was
Thames mark on it. 2015.
By the PNM.
Right.
And this is one of the new ambulances that was recently procured.
So we sure this is a new ambulance. Let me ask the director to pull this back so where the two ambulances are side by side. Well, look, it just passed again there.
Yes.
But let us go back to where we can see both ambulances side by side. So this is the new one. Not there. Let's go back to the beginning of the clip.
Yeah.
Right. That's not the old one?
Yes.
2015, 2025. Watch at it. 2015. TEMS.
Yeah.
2025. S. Anyway. I wouldn't continue the spelling of that word. Look at it. So there it is again, Minority Councillor. Yeah. These people stand in front of Tobago and tell blatant lies. Look, we have it on video. You are seeing the two ambulances, old and new. Old and functional, new and non-functional. But they stand and tell the people of Tobago, no, it's not
making mischief.
And in the same spirit, the secretary comes here and say that the people of Tobago should be joyful that ambulance is purchased.
But how you could be joyful?
This is nonsense.
When the ambulance, you are going to seek medical care from whether it be Roxborough or Scarborough to Roxborough and vice versa, and en route to receiving that care, you are uncertain whether or not the ambulance you are in will take you safely to receive that care.
That has never happened in Tobago under the PNM administration, who governed Tobago for 21 consecutive years. And let me say this, for the secretary to say that PNM gave bad governance, what she's saying by extension is that the people of Tobago are foolish, you know? Because remember, the people of Tobago elected the PNM for four consecutive terms and then another term. So 5 consecutive terms, the people of Tobago were convinced that the PNM is doing what it is supposed to be doing to advance the development of Tobago and advance the people of Tobago, which in fact is the case.
Correct.
Because human capacity has been advanced.
Yeah, and the secretary and many of her colleagues
are beneficiaries.
Would have benefited from the policy of the then People's National Movement government and Tobago House of Assembly.
Yes.
And the thing about it is, they are the ones that always want to compare 3 years to 21 years. And when the PNM starts to dish out its list of deliveries that are unexhaustive, they now want to come and say, but how you could compare 21 years to 3? But you are the ones that say that you have done more in 3 years than the PNM has done in 21 years. And nobody is saying that the PNM was a perfect party. And because we are imperfect, we are currently now in opposition, but you have the opportunity. You were placed there to do what you said the PNM was not doing. But the PNM would have built schools, secondary, early childhood, primary, community centers, health centers, lit playing fields, built homes, acquired housing a land bank, so that houses and lands could be distributed at a reasonable cost to Tobagonians. The PNM policy would have paid for a number of persons to pursue tertiary education.
Yes.
Even outside of what GATE was providing.
Okay.
BDU, number of grants, number of loans, social security net for vulnerable persons, employment, creation of CPEP, enhancement of the URP program. And the list goes on and on and on.
Minority
but governance is continuum. Governance is a continuum. And where the PNM left off, or in your view, what you said the PNM could not do, you were put in charge to do it. So, put on.
Well, let me add something to that. Because, you know, I love our viewers and persons who really support us on this program, because they always make me feel that they are in sync with us.
Yes.
And the fact that they always extend themselves to assist, it shows that persons are in fact listening. Someone sent me the website of the company that would have been awarded the tender, who we're still suffering under their hands, BMT, Biomedical Technologies Limited, which is a newly constructed website apparently.
Okay.
And none of the tabs are opening.
Okay then.
I'm actually, I can show you, I can't show the viewers, but I can show you, Mr. Director, you could come back out of that clip now. I can show you. None of these are opening. All the categories that they're saying you just tap to get into to understand what the company provides.
Okay.
None of them.
So you can't see the services category.
You can't see any of the services. And this is the website of the company.
That we have already given.
How much million?
I think it's $10 million.
Okay.
And
Thus
we have
far.
purchased how many ambulances at 1.4,
we have 4 on the ground,
$1.5 million.
1 point, and it's counting because we're still retrofitting. Folks, and I like to show, okay, I think you're actually seeing a bit of it. There is nothing coming up. Thanks, Mr. Director. There is nothing coming up on this what's supposed to be a local
probably no. They probably are,
Lord. So all of a sudden, after we've been searching to get information on this particular company, all of a sudden now, a website is made available. And this secretary has the audacity to come here to say, nothing is wrong with this. Nothing is wrong with this.
Something coming up. Let's see what's coming up.
No, that's the same homepage about biomedical technologies.
Okay.
Many innovative, one enthusiastic. This is just the homepage information.
Okay.
Look.
Questions and answers. More questions and answers.
Mr. Director, you could come back to us.
And then we have this new issue coming. I see time is coming.
Yes,
but
in our last 9 minutes. Minority Councillor? We
again
had a shutdown at the hospital.
Again at the Division of Health.
Now, we want Tobago to understand that this administration majors on minors and play with your perception to try to convince you that either something is wrong or something is not wrong. They convinced Tobago that the PNM was wrong, that PNM didn't know what they were doing, and they could do it better, and Tobago gave them the job. And over the last 3 almost to 4 years, I think all of Tobago can acknowledge that was a grave mistake in giving these people the job. And yet still they come to the public and try to make it look. The second illusion is that they have delivered more in 3 years. than 21 years. This administration has not built anything yet for Tobago. They've not set up policy in place. Over almost 40 sit-ins in the assembly. Which motion that they've brought and talk about policy has
That
actually been implemented.
yeah.
Not one, not even the infrastructure has been put in place. These people have no shame to come back to Tobago. And now we have a notice, an urgent release last week saying that the hospital is in emergency state where what they said, it shut down to
for 48 hours.
For 48 hours.
Emergency mode.
Because they don't have any beds.
Yeah.
Minority Councillor, there is not a hospital in the world
that at one point in time wouldn't have an issue in terms of capacity.
Capacity.
Yes. And we would have gone through COVID for quite some time where the hospital would have been beyond its capacity.
And
so
never.
in terms of management of capacity issues, learning from COVID, this ought not to be a crisis.
Man, remember this secretary did have a lot to say coming through that COVID
and
period.
how to manage
How to
COVID.
manage.
So, putting the hospital on emergency mode and putting the general public in a panic.
Panic?
Because you are in emergency mode.
I thought we had an outbreak or something.
And that is what the general public was wondering, you know. What is it?
Yes.
Are we having another type of COVID?
I say about COVID again.
You know, is it some other infection or some other disease that is presenting, you know, why public we are going into... So the public was in a panic. And people were asking the questions. And again, we continue to say it's about management.
And now let us connect the dots. And in the few minutes we still have, let us connect the dots. So this administration and this secretary has created in being aligned to and collaborating with her board of directors, who we have seen is failing Tobago and the division, and a CEO who is literally in La La Land, has no idea what is taking place. They have colluded to create this crisis, to send widespread panic throughout Tobago about lack of beds and lack of space in the hospital, to adequately manage the workload. And to create this perception in the minds of Tobagonians that we need more beds, we need more space. However, this is on the backdrop of these people making a ludicrous purchase of 5 villas. Or 6 villas, is it? It's 5.
I think it's 5. 5
villas nearby to the hospital. And being called upon to justify, not just in the house, but by way of FOI requests that have gone in, persons asking about the need for these villas, the procurement process that was used, what was the final price that was agreed on, and they are seeing this one going to be dubbed Villa Gate. Because we are seeing Villa Gate on the horizon. So as a means of preempting the kind of public outcry and concern that we saw with the ambulances, they have now come up with this plan to make Tobagonians believe that the hospital is so inadequate. This new hospital, recently built, according to industry standards, this one meet the 41 points criteria, that this hospital is inadequate and that they have to take immediate action to try to relieve that workload on the hospital. And folks, I'm saying that is what is going to be said next, that the 5 villas purchase is to solve that problem. But do not be fooled. They are all playing mind games. And I would quote Minority Councillor, a whole Calypsonian, I remember that song since I was a little child hearing it. Most of what you see
is just illusion.
Is just illusion.
Half of what you hear is not the truth.
It's not the truth. And I will say that to Tobago tonight. Most of what you're seeing.
If that is the case, that is very concerning. And it should be concerning for Tobagonians because health is a serious issue.
It is.
And health, you know, is people's lives that you're dealing with. Is life and death. And the way it is being managed, it is causing great concern in the minds of citizens, and it is reducing the confidence of citizens in the health sector and the quality of care
that is being meted out to them.
Citizens would have access to.
Yes.
And we need to deal with the issues seriously. And the Secretary of Health and her team and the Tobago Regional Health Authority needs to seriously look at the issues and address them appropriately.
Abject failures.
And build back the confidence of the people and the citizenry in the health sector. Because one of the things that we indicated in the press release is that putting out a release like this, that the hospital is in emergency mode and creating panic, not only affects citizens and locals, but it also affects our tourists.
Yes.
And the perception in the minds of tourists about if they come to a destination, whether or not they can receive quality care if an incident happens to them at the destination. And again, there's a level of confidence that you are taking away from a tourist that will want to come to visit your destination.
Minority Council, these people are reckless.
It's a serious issue that we are not taking and giving the attention that it deserves. Because the light mode in which that issue was treated with yesterday is a cause for serious concern.
This is so heartrending and appalling, and we are seeing it, and especially in this division. This division has taken front stage for months because of poor leadership, lack of accountability, and no one is standing up and within the administration as a leader and holding this secretary, this abject, this failing secretary to account.
And all the things that you have just said are all the promises that were made to the people.
Yes.
They promise better governance. They promise greater accountability. They promise transparency.
Where is it? Not one promise has been delivered on. They have failed in every single division. Remember, and we can go through. Remember when you asked the Secretary of Housing Settlements to explain to the public how he intends to deliver how much? 1,000 houses?
Yes, it was 1,000 houses.
What did he say?
Watch him work.
How many we have now? 2.5? In almost 4 years.
Yeah, and they should have built 200 a year.
200 a year. And we could go on and on.
And even that, they continue to say that PNM did nothing. But what lands have they acquired since coming into office? And if their intention was really to build 200 houses a year, where he was finding the lands to build those houses if the PNM did nothing?
And anyone, and as we begin to wrap up, I'll say this without fear of contradiction. And as they say, I'm saying it with my chest. Anyone that stands to even repeat the fact of that statement that PNM has done nothing for Tobago for 21 years, that person only moved to Tobago in 2021, December.
Correct.
They have absolutely no knowledge of Tobago from before.
Because their children,
You have to be blind
their
or dead.
grandchildren, nieces, nephews, some family member would have gone to a school that the PNM would
The
have
PNM
built.
built.
They would have also
Health
gone to a
facilities.
community center that
Community
the PNM would
center.
have built. They would have gone to a hospital or a community center that the
Play
PNM would have
fields.
built.
All these housing
They would have been
developments.
driving on roads that PNM would have built
Yes.
and or repaired.
How foolish do you have to be to
They
say
would have been
PNM
going on
delivered
the
nothing?
boat with the 2 fast
Fast ferry,
ferries that
new.
PNM purchased.
New. How could we?
And you see, because the People's National Movement, through its track record of delivery, changed the standard
Exactly.
of living of people in Tobago, it was taken for granted.
For granted.
Not recognizing that every policy decision was a priority that the PNM placed on the people.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now you are seeing an administration
You can't even
whose
formulate policy.
priorities
Spend.
are elsewhere.
And I want to close with this. I saw a TikToker yesterday. Somebody who put up a video on TikTok, and gentleman was saying a group of them took a trip to Barbuda. They were in Antigua and they decided they wanted to go across because, Antigua, Barbuda share a similar relationship like Trinidad and Tobago. And they had to take a ferry, what was said to be a fast ferry, over to Barbuda, and the trip was going to simply be an hour and a half. And the gentleman indicated that when he heard an hour and a half, he felt excited because he said, in Tobago to Trinidad, it's like 3 hours, 3.5 hours. And the journey is so long and dreary and so. And they got to the port of embarkation, and he was looking at a particular vessel. And then they summoned them to come to the vessel that was taking them over. When he saw the vessel that was taking them over, he said that he had concerns. Nevertheless, he said, well, listen, let me go ahead. And they stayed on the outside. But they saw people rushing to go on the inside until the inside was full out. And then who didn't get in had to stay on the outside seating. And in his mind, he was like, but why people running? And you could enjoy this breeze. He went through the process of that journey. When the boat took up speed, when everybody was soaked on the outside because they had nothing to bar the waters from splashing, he said it was the most unsafe journey. They had no life jackets. There was no life raft, anything. It was just hold on for your life. He literally said that he and the group of persons who were going actually began to make peace with the maker, because there was no way they could have seen them surviving that journey. And he ended that video by saying something that I want to leave Tobago with. He said, I will never criticize the APT James or the Buku Reef ever again in my life. He said, Trinidad and Tobago, we have it real nice.
And we take a lot of things for granted. We take a lot of things for granted, even as simple as our subsidies. Just like you, I was talking to someone who was going between Curacao and Aruba. Yes, and they were going via airplane. And it is a similar 20-minute journey. And when compared the cost that it takes between Trinidad and Tobago and Aruba and Curacao, is like Trinidad and Tobago, it was thousands of dollars because there is no subsidy there.
He mentioned that same thing.
The little things that we take for granted. And it's only when, there's a saying, you never miss the water until the well runs dry. And it's not until those things aren't as readily available as they were in the past, then, people will start to take stock. Just as how this UNC government came into power, and in 2 weeks, we have thousands of workers on the breadline, and workers who are at the bottom of the social security safety net.
Yeah.
And we are going into a period where you're going back to school, new uniform, new books, new...
And minority counselor, I actually, just yesterday, and I mean, I didn't want us to go into that here because that is, I heard the clip of the now Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago when she said, any one of her ministers that treats a citizen, an employee, in a manner that causes them hurt, pain, loss of income, she is going to and I can't remember her exact words, but what it meant was that she was going to take them to task if they only cause persons. And she specifically said it, not only people who voted for the UNC, but every citizen. I remember hearing the same statement from our chief secretary, that you don't have to worry if the PDP wins.
Your jobs will be saved.
Your job's safe. Your contract secured.
You will be paid.
You will be paid. The same chief secretary who now lose another court matter, and the THA now has to pay the 13 employees of that one unit in excess of $3 million. Same playbook, same voice, same narrative.
Tobago, open your eyes. Tobago, wake up.
Folks, we are out of time. I've already been queued twice. We have so much to discuss. We are going to be going on a short break. However, we will keep you informed and keep you in tune with the issues as they arrive. The Office of the Minority Leader is still fully functional, and we want to just say good night to the Minority Leader.
Hello, Mr. Minority Leader.
We know
we missed you
always,
tonight.
Yes. It's always locked on, locked in, and they're giving support, giving human service. So the Office of the Minority Leader continues to function. Feel free to call the office 612-9491 or drop by if you have any concern or anything you want to share with us. But we will inform you as to the resumption of the Minority Report, and as we continue to go forward. Minority Councillor. We also are experiencing a slight disruption at the office. There are some issues being treated with the building. We will open today. However, tomorrow we are closed again because there are workmen who are going to be coming into the building. A number of challenges we've been experiencing with this particular building from inception, and we continue to experience those challenges. Nevertheless, it has not dissuaded the Office of the Minority Leader from serving you, the public, and so feel free, go even on Facebook, go up on the site, the Facebook account, and you can send us a message as pertaining to whatever challenges you may be having, and we will begin to treat it as necessary. So, folks, thank you for staying with us. Thanks to the director tonight for bearing with us, even though we started a little late, but thanks for giving us that little extra time. And folks, we want to thank you for being with us, for helping us become the program that we are, and stay tuned as we continue to inform you as to when we resume programming. We love you a whole lot, not like the Prime Minister, but the real kind, and we will continue to do what is necessary. Minority Councillor, thanks for coming out and for closing this era, this period. So we look forward to when we resume.
Most definitely. So have a good one. Stay tuned in, and as we provide the relevant information, also stay tuned into our Facebook pages and our social media handles, and you will be informed. So have a good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the Minority Report.
Have a good night.